All right, this next step, let's move back to our paper. I'm going to label this layer as our poster paper. Okay, so we want to do some things to this poster paper to make it look older. Remember, this is an old wanted poster. What I want to do is I'm going to put some layer effects on this. So I'm going to say um, inner glow. And on this inner glow, I'm going to change this to multiply. Now this is an effect. This effect is on this yellow paper. So there's multiply that's on the layer style, and then there's multiply that we're using for another variation. Both do basically the same thing. They add color, but it reveals the color underneath like an overlay. I'm going to bring in sort of this warm kind of brown, kind of burnt kind of color, and let's make it really large. So you can see the effect. I'm bringing in this color, and it's going to make the edges look yellowed. Right now I'm kind of overemphasizing it just so you can kind of see what's going on. I can change the opacity so it's a lot more subtle, but what that's going to do is it just makes the paper look a little bit tinged at the end, around the edge. You can kind of see that effect up here. If you go to 100%, you see it really harsh, and I'm going to move it back so it's just a subtle thing. Um, so that's good. That'll give us enough of the effect. The other thing that we want to do is we want to make it look like the paper is, well, sort of burned and old. So let's go back here, and I'm going to do something new. Here is on this paper, on this layer that we have for the paper, I'm going to add, down here I'm going to add what's called a layer mask. When I do this, I get this extra little window here. And wherever I paint black in this little window, you can see this double line that's around this. I know this is selected. If I go here, I know the paper is selected. If I go here, I know that um, the layer mask is selected. If I use black, and I'm going to use a brush that, let me pick a brush that has kind of a bit of a unique look to it. Let's see. I'm gonna I'll grab something along the line of, well, let's see how this works. I'm gonna make it, it's about 80 pixels. That should be good. Now I'm gonna go back over here, and wherever I paint on this, that's kind of small or big, I'm gonna change the size here. I want to make this smaller. I'm gonna go down, and okay, so I'm gonna come in, and I'm gonna kind of eat up these edges. I also want to make this a little bit more, a little bit different brush. So I'm gonna come in here with this brush, and I'm gonna overkill. I'm gonna kind of bite into this. Now you can see right here I've been painting with black, and wherever I paint with black, it hides what's there. And so you can kind of go crazy. If I wanted to do some things with this, I can just kind of keep chipping away at it. Now here's the great aspect of this is I'm hiding the paper, but I can come back once I change my brush color to white, which I'm going to do here in a second. I'm going to switch now using this arrow. I'm going to switch back to white. Now I can come back in, and I can back out of this with white. Not liking that brush. Let's try this. And so you can, now with the white, and now I'm kind of, you can see here I'm kind of painting back out. Go back out like this. Keep just a lot of clicks here. Just kind of play around with making this look, it has an adequate amount of age to it. Yours will look different. You get to be creative with this. I may want to put some more chunks out of this paper, so I'm going to switch back to black. I'm going to take a little bit off right here. All right, so you get the effect here. All right, the other thing that I want to do to this paper is I want to make it look like it's standing off the page or off this wall. So I'm going to come back to this layer. I'm going to go to Effects, and I'm going to go down to Drop Shadow. And so now it's going to put a drop shadow on this part of the paper. I'm going to move the distance out. Let me just see what that looks like. Too much. Again, with this, I want it to be fairly subtle. I don't really want people to notice it. I just want it to be there just to get a little bit of separation from the wall. Okay, so that's kind of fun. Now I'm going to go back over here with my brush tool, do a little bit of more damage to this, and I'm going to switch to the white. And just kind of have, you know what I mean, you can have some fun with this. All right. So then now we have our paper that looks somewhat cartoony and chopped. Let's do this. I'm going to go back to my layer mask. I'm going to pick a nice brush tool here. Let me see here. And I want to find something that will work. I guess I'll stick with this for right now. Maybe I'll try this. Oh, that is going to be, oh yeah. All right, so I want to make sure that this is black. All right, good. I'm going to put some bullet holes. I'll put some bullet holes here. So maybe look like it was shot. I'm going to kind of give it a couple of piercings there. Okay. All right, so then what we did there, we used inner glow to make the paper look old. We used a drop shadow to make the paper look like it's standing off the edge, and we also did a layer mask, and we hid this all of these effects. I can actually show you if I go to this and I say disable layer mask, that all goes away, and if I come back here, right click on it, enable layer mask, there it is. So you really can have some fun experimenting with this. All right, the next thing I want to do is I want to come back in here and I want to add a type tool. So let's come back up here to the top. I'm going to go to my type tool, and I'm going to type in wanted in all caps, wanted. All right, so this is an Arial. I don't think that's a very good typeface for this look. I'm going to say look for rose. I don't think I have rosewood on here, do I? Okay. Let me see what I have on here that may work. Let's see. What do I have that may look good since I'm not on my regular computer? I have to find something that looks a little bit from the era. Can try birch. Try birch. Yeah, that'll work. I'm going to change the size here. Let's go as big as we want here. And then I want to go to my type tool. I'm going to change the color of this. I'm going to make it in red ink, but I want my red to not be super obviously red. And then I'm going to change the scale of this. I'm going to hold down Option and Shift, and I'm going to scale this up. All right, now we get to do one fairly fun, tricky thing here. We're going to go to Layer and say Type. We're going to warp text, and we want to arc it. And then we want to, let's see about our horizontal distortion. I want that to be 0. Let me try vertical distortion. Yeah, so that'll kind of give us that. And then also I want to change the spacing here. Maybe I won't. Let me see here what we have. So I'm going to move this down. I just held down the command key. It allows me to drag this around and get it about where I want it. And then I'm going to change the opacity of this. So remember, I'm working here. I'm going to move this layer up to the top. I'm going to change my opacity down to about, say, about 70%. And then watch this. This is going to be fun too. I'm going to add a layer mask to this. And now, as you can guess, or you might be guessing by now, I'm going to make it look like it's worn. So I'm going to grab my brush tool and I want to find something here that will work. And I can come back in here and I can start painting this out. I'll just kind of do this. I'm just going to go crazy on it. Went too far. Switch to white. And I can come back and add a little bit of color. Now you can be a lot more artistic with this. I'm trying to not go too fast here or too slow, but I just kind of want to show you here how you can kind of give it this nice aged look. I'm going to switch back to black, and then I'm going to change the size of this. So let's scale this way up and see about just kind of adding a little bit of wear and tear on it. And then go back to my white, come back in, and remove a little bit of the wear and tear. Maybe change my opacity a little bit more, kind of drop it down. And then let's see, what do we have? Oh, okay, so we want to do this. We're going to have a new chance here on the paper. I want to put a little bit of dimension on the paper. I want to make the paper itself have an edge. So I'm going to add another layer effect. So I'm going to go to bevel and emboss of the paper. See how it added this thickness? Paper has thickness, believe it or not. If you can give paper and those kinds of details the amount of thickness it needs, let's go down to, let's say maybe 2. And that's gonna, maybe let's try 3. And that's gonna give it that edge that you're gonna add that believability to. So I wanted to make sure that we did that. So that little edge is going to make a big difference because our eyes are used to seeing that. All right, so you can see how the paper looks like it's standing off a little bit. Now I want to go back down to our blue. And on our blue, I'm going to, I want to do a layer mask on this. And I'm going to make the blue look like it's chipped. So let's do that. I'm going to come back in here with our brush tool. Let me see here. Make sure I'm on my layer mask. And I'm going to make this smaller. And I'm going to take away little bits of the blue, kind of give it a bit of a cracked feel to it. Aged blue. It doesn't look like it's doing much right now, but I'll show you how to make a difference here. We want to give this blue, our blue layer, we want to give it some thickness too. So let's go here and we want to say bevel and emboss. And I'm going to make this a chisel soft. Let me see, chisel soft. And I want to make it fairly small. I'll go back to hard and I want to add some shadow to this to give it some dimension. So we have our bevel and emboss. Then I'm going to add drop shadow.